Hey, welcome to Half the Battle, and welcome my friends to the end of main character May. Today we'll take our final look at Serpentor and draw some conclusions. We've certainly looked a lot at the character in various forms, but there's one question that, so far, hasn't been asked. Why did he exist in the first place? To answer that, we have to, of course, take it back to Hasbro. The year was 1986. It had been 3 years since the last Cobra Commander toy was released in retail, though it had been available until 1985. And the hooded version has been available through mail order for almost the entire original G.I.Joe run. The point is, though, there hadn't been a new Cobra Commander toy in 3 years. So, Hasbro thought it was time for a change. They wanted a new leader. First, he was only known as the Cobra Emperor. The original idea was that the Emperor had always been there behind the scenes, and he was Cobra Commander's boss from the very beginning. Buzz Dixon, who worked on the G.I. Joe cartoon, rightfully pointed out how stupid that was. Not only contradicting previous continuity, but also being nonsensical. So it was agreed the Cobra leadership would create their own leader to replace the commander. And so the stage was set to remove Cobra Commander and replace him with Serpentor. So in the movie, the commander was turned into a snake, while in the comic he got blown up and was then shot in the back. From now on, Serpentor would be the undisputed leader of Cobra. No more toys for Cobra Commander were planned. Except they were! And it didn't take that long either. It was in fact in 1987, 1 year after Serpentor's release, that a new Cobra Commander toy came out, even though he had been written out of the fictional universes. Now, there are several explanations for this, each compelling on their own, but I think it's a mix. One possibility is that the Serpentor character just wasn't as popular as they had hoped, or that Cobra Commander was far more popular than Hasbro had anticipated, making them rush out a new version. It's also entirely plausible that one department at Hasbro didn't know what the hell the other was doing, so they allowed Cobra Commander to be written off, unaware that they were planning a new toy. My best guess is indeed a combination of the first two factors. So there was a huge divide between the popularity of Cobra Commander and Serpentor. All I know is Cobra Commander got several more toys in the original line, while Serpy didn't. So that's the rise and fall of Serpentor as far as Hasbro is concerned. As far as the character goes, well, the comic version was clearly the best, followed by the toy, and the cartoon character being a very very distant last. Though I will admit the cartoon was handicapped in a way the comic wasn't. Children's cartoons in general, and especially in the 80s, have sort of the same structure. Bad guys come up with a plan, good guys are in trouble, then the good guys overcome the plan, and the bad guys lose. And everything goes back to the status quo. Hell, even cartoons that had an overall story arc, like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Justice League, usually followed this formula. And before you rush down to the comment section to point out all the times this didn't happen, I'm just talking generally here. This rigid story structure is a problem when you want to create a character that's supposed to be a genius evil leader like Serpentor. He still has to lose every week! So they had no choice but to give him his annoying character flaws to justify the Joes winning every time. The comic didn't suffer from this. In the ongoing story, you'd be surprised just how few times the Joes got a definitive victory over Cobra. More often than not, it was a draw. Or, like with the creation of Cobra Island, the bad guys actually won. Now, I'm not saying this justifies Serpentor's cartoon portrayal, but it does provide understanding. Though that still doesn't excuse this. This I command! Or especially this. Cobra la 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 la. If you want my final conclusion, well, I'll never be a big fan of the toys or the cartoon character, though I really liked what they did with Serpentor in the comics. And hey, if you happen to like those portrayals, that's perfectly valid. My word isn't law. Yet. Now, there is of course stuff we didn't talk about, like most of the cartoon episodes, but since I'll eventually review every single episode, so please stop asking, their time will come. Another thing I left out was that the Serpentor clone saga from Image Comics actually produced an action figure called Hannibal Reborn. But since that character wasn't Serpentor, maybe we'll have a look at it down the line. And with that, main character May comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I think you've now seen the most comprehensive look at Serpentor that's ever been made. At least, that was my intention, while hopefully making you laugh along the way. As for next year, there will be another main character May. Nothing is set in stone yet, but right now I'm leaning towards one particular subject.
Duke. Duke of Earl. Duke of Earl.
Though that's just a thought right now, okay? A lot can happen in 11 months. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?